Hey guys, Dr. Tracy here, and I'm going to go over this week's Pygame assignment, which is down here. We're doing Chapter 5, Simulate. So, clicking on this book, here's the textbook for Chapter 5, Simulate. And what we're going to create is this game right here, which is kind of like an old game, Simon, if you've ever seen it. It plays a tone and a color, and you have to repeat it back. So the first time it does 1, the second time it does 2, and so forth. So first thing I want to point out to you is that the source code is available right here if you want the source code to get this started. And also, if you write your own source code, there is a feature that's listed in your book that lets you copy and paste your code into this form, and then it will tell you if there are differences between your code and the book. All right, to get started on this, it's giving you the 3 sounds that you'll need in order to use in this program. So you got to download those, which I did. So I just right click and said save link as, and I put them into my documents folder in the same place where I stored my code so that I can see that it works. So here's the code, but I'm going to go ahead and open up idle, and we're going to run it locally on the computer. So when I open up the idle shell, I click on File and Open, and I go to my Documents section where you can see I've got Simulate. And if I look at all files, under there, I've also got the beep 1, 2, 3, 4. They're in the same folder. That's going to make it easy to find. But okay, so for my Python files, I click on Simulate to open it up. Here's the code for the Simulate, not Simon, Simulate. And let's run it first so we can see what it does. When I click on Run Module, it's going to open up this window and ask me to repeat it, which I'm doing super good so far because I've got a score of 2. 1, 2, 3. Ta-da. You'll see that the color in the back is also changing colors, and you can click the button or use the QWAS key. And as I copy it, I'm still successfully following this pattern, but I'm going to mess up on purpose so that we see what happens. Oh, we're done. Okay, so that's how the simulation game works, and then it will start all over again. So let's take a look at the code and what makes that happen. The first statement that's going to happen in here is import random sys time and Pygame. Now make sure that you have Pygame installed. I know we've already been working with Pygame. If you don't have Pygame installed, you're going to have a little trouble with this. Also, make sure that when you install Pygame that you have installed it. You use the pip3 install Pygame so your computer knows where it is. Install it in the same place where Python is installed, or it might not find it. Okay, then from pygame.locals, import everything. That statement means bring in all the modules from Pygame. All right, now we're setting up our stuff. So we have frames per second of 30, a window height and width, our flash speed, delay, button size, gap size, timeout. All of these are constants that are being set so they can be used later. In addition, here's all of our colors that are setting up the RGB of the colors, and then there's a margin that demonstrates where every box is going to be, and then it creates 4 rectangles. There's a yellow one, a blue one, a red one, a green one, and now we define our main. So our main function, oh my god, all kinds of noises there, sorry about that. Our main function is going to have a clock because we need to have it pause by seconds, and then it's going to set up our window, which has a caption of simulate. And it'll set, this is just setting the font for the game. And then it has instructions on the font reader. It gets the rectangle, puts it in the top left corner. This loads the sound files, because there's 4 of them. They should be in the same folder. If they're not in the same folder, then you need to tell them exactly where they are. Then it says initialize some variables for the new game, which is the pattern of colors, the current step, the last click time, the score, waiting for input. Those are all variables that we're going to use in the game. So now you get down to the main game loop here. Click button is none, but it draws all the buttons. It gives a score with whatever the string value of whatever the score is, and then it gets the rectangles and displays the score in the top. It checks for quit here to see if there is a click has happened where we've clicked the QWAS if the mouse button is clicked in a different position. If not, then it's waiting for input. So that's just testing what happened. You can type QWAS, or you could click the mouse to play the game. So now it's going to have a random choice between yellow, blue, red, and green, and it will append that to the pattern, and the pattern will flash on the screen. And when it flashes on the screen, it waits for the player to click the button. So if the click button and is equal to the current step of the pattern, then the current step plus one. If that's in the pattern, then it will change the animation, change the score by change the background animation to a different color, and change the score by one, and then change the current step back to 0. So we can start all over again and pick a random color and append it onto the pattern and then wait for input. So this is at the end, when we're all done, we check for quit if it doesn't match. And then there's the flash animation color, which just shows if the color is yellow, it's going to play that sound. It's going to flash a brighter yellow, and then it's going to go back to standard. So those are just helping it look pretty. These are drawing the buttons on the screen. This is changing the color in the background. And then when it's game over, it does a little animation there. So on the get button, click down here, just finds the X and Y. There's a whole lot of code that's going on in here. But the nice thing about this is you can get the code yourself. You don't have to type in every little thing. You can copy and paste it by going back to the chapter. And it's right here. There's all the code. So you have all the code. But I do kind of want you to look through it and make sure that you understand what the code is doing. Now, once you've got that, you know that there's always going to be something else. So I do include a link here for animation with Pygame, and that's going to help you with this discussion, which says read the following article and download the images and follow the code to make it work. So this is going to be a little bit more, a tiny bit of coding. The example in this article, it's only a few lines as opposed to the stuff from the text. Explain how the program in that example and how animation works using Python and Pygame. Okay, so that's your discussion for the week. But as we continue, we are still going along, working on the projects within the book, because that's going to lead us to the Pygame Project 5. And in Pygame Project 5, the change you want to make to this game is how can you speed this up as the level increases. Now, what I'm looking for is at least the idea how to. If you can't figure out how to make it work, then at least present your idea on this is what I would do to make it speed up. All right, I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, send me an email or set up a Zoom meeting with me. I will talk to you soon.